Introducing Instagram Teen Accounts, a new way to keep your teen safer as they grow, like making sure they always have their seatbelt on.
All right, buckle up. Good job.
New Instagram Teen Accounts, automatic protections for who can contact your teen and the content they can see.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
I'm rolling. Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores. Boy, I hope they're ready for this. Bring us Garage Logic podcast number 1079. What?
Oh, okay.
May 17th, 2023. 93 degrees on this day not that long ago, 1987. And 31 degrees in 1915. I can assure you that back in 1987, the kids would have been swimming on that beach, kept free of weeds and crud and junk. No, not junk. Aquaside's pretty good, but they can't dissolve a car bumper. Oh, right. You got to clean that yourself. Aquaside has been helping people maintain Great Lake shores for more than 60 years with a complete line of lake and pond control products. They're fast, they're easy, they work quickly. Aquaside is registered with the EPA and DNR. These products are safe. They're right there, made right there in White Bear Lake. Don't let weeds overtake your swimming area. Call Aquaside. Tell them what you're looking at, what you're dealing with. They'll get the right products to your place. You'll look great all summer long. Call Aquaside at 1-800-328-9350 or go to aquaside.com.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the Rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Soucheray.
We're going on double secret high alert. We're going to be joined by Representative Harry Niska, a Republican from up Andover way. Is Harry with us? Hi, Harry. Hi, Harry.
Yeah.
Harry, what the hell's going on?
Well, where do you want me to start? We have a $17.5 billion surplus, and we're raising taxes and growing government. The size and scope of government at an unprecedented rate, and that's the top line concerning thing. And then, as they say, the devil is in the details, and there are a lot of devils in the details this budget process. The DFL is doing everything they can to reward their enemies and reward their friends and punish their enemies, and it's really concerning a lot of the specifics that are going on.
Harry,
below the surface.
Let's get to the bottom of and reach a clear understanding of the pedophilia controversy. Could you help us understand what is happening with that?
I can, yeah. So the Democrats have proposed changing some language in the Minnesota Human Rights Act, in particular adding a new definition of gender identity and changing the definition of sexual orientation. And as part of those changes, they deleted some language that made clear that attraction by adults to children would not be considered part of that sexual orientation protection. And as an attorney, that concerned me and concerned a lot of people in terms of what a court might decide down the road in a case in which someone who does have those kind of attractions tries to claim some protection under the Minnesota Human Rights Act.
Stop. We have to make this clearer. In the Human Rights Act right now, if I'm not mistaken, it reads sexual orientation does not include a physical or sexual attachment to children by an adult, meaning we're not buying this BS. Pedophilia is not a sexual identity. Only to discover that that's now been that line's been crossed out of the public safety bill?
Correct. That in the public safety bill, we are deleting that line from the Minnesota statute books. And I proposed an amendment when a bill with this change came to the floor on April 26th. I proposed an amendment to say, if we don't want to have that language in the definition of sexual orientation, let's have that language somewhere else, just to completely close the door to some lawyer down the road and a judge deciding that this is somehow protected in the Minnesota Human Rights Act. That amendment was adopted 126-0. And then in an all DFL conference committee where they were incorporating that language into this broader public safety and judiciary omnibus bill, the DFL members dropped that, deleted that, and we have had discussions about how to get something clarifying that into the statutes, and they have refused.
Well, you passed an amendment 126-0, and you can go into a conference committee and just undo that?
That's right. Yep. Those who have the votes have the power to do that. And if they are unwilling to listen to the other side of the argument, or if they refuse to acknowledge that the people who they disagree with might have a point, then they can do that. That's unfortunately what the people of Minnesota empowered Democrats to do when they very narrowly gave them this trifecta in the 2022 election.
This does not make pedophilia legal. Would that be a fair statement?
It does not repeal the criminal prohibitions on certain acts towards children. The concern that I have is that some creative lawyer representing someone who has the orientation or the attraction towards children to be able to claim in housing or employment or something that they should be protected from discrimination based on that affinity or attraction or attachment. Yeah, so that's the concern. And there's a lot of, I think, misstatement of the argument, a little bit on both sides, but especially on the side of the Democrats who want to deny this. They want to slip into, we're still leaving the criminal penalties in place. And that is true. And that is good. But the important thing from this perspective is to make sure that we are not protecting it in the Minnesota Human Rights Act, that we're not destigmatizing or normalizing the idea that, adults attracted to children is somehow just a normal, identity or orientation or some other protected class under the Minnesota Human Rights Act.
But the bill Walz will sign does remove that stigma.
It deletes that language and leaves for, unfortunately, a future court case whether that's going to be protected under the Minnesota Human Rights Act. And, I come from this as a lawyer who's drafted legal documents and argued about the meaning of statutes and contracts and all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, when you leave a door open, when you leave language ambiguous, then you have to, like Nancy Pelosi said, pass the bill to find out what's in it later when a judge rules on this somewhere down the road. And that's not a gamble I think is worth taking. I think it's irresponsible to take that. And I thought we had it solved on April 26th. And it's really unfortunate and frankly irresponsible of the Democrats to do what they did.
It's on page 438 of the 500-plus page Public Safety Omnibus Bill, which presumably will be placed in front of Walz, who signs anything you put in front of him. And that line, sexual orientation, does not include a physical or sexual attachment to children by an adult. That line will not be in the bill that Walz signs.
Well, and let me be clear. This is what's described as an agency bill coming from Tim Walz's Human Rights Department. The Commissioner of Human Rights, who answers to Tim Walz, is one of the people who wants to make this change and who is resistant to us putting this protective language back into the statutes. So there's no reason to expect that Tim Walz has any problem with this whatsoever, or that this will be any snag in him signing it unless his mind is changed between now and whenever this bill comes before him to sign it. Am
I entitled to be speechless?
Well, the First Amendment protects your right to speak or not to speak, at least so far.
For now.
There's obviously some concerning ways in which we are, as a legislature, the DFL trifecta is trying to interfere with your rights to speak or not speak, especially on controversial issues. And that's another thing that I've talked a lot about in this bill. There's a bias registry that we are funding in the bill. They called it something else about going after hate speech or hate incidents before, and then there was a pretty embarrassing exchange on the House floor where I asked the author of that bill some examples of things that should go in that. That there was a short clip that went a little viral about some of those examples. The author of the bill seems to think that if you write an article saying COVID is a Chinese bioweapon that leaked from a lab, that was something that the Minnesota Department of Human Rights should write down in their naughty list. And that, maybe if you wear an I Love J.K. Rowling T-shirt, that seemed like a jump ball, I guess, as to whether or not they wanted to put it there. And that was really embarrassing for the administration. I had a meeting with the Commissioner of Human Rights where she said that those questions were spot on and they didn't want to have that kind of information. But lo and behold, what came out of the conference committee was funding for that database. They kind of rebranded it, but they gave the exact amount of money that the governor asked for in order to have this speech database.
This is your first term, correct?
It is.
How puzzled are you at what's taking place? Are you astonished, or did you go in knowing this trifecta would wreak such havoc? Or where are you when you have a time to pause and think meditatively about the state of Minnesota? What in God's name is happening?
Every day I'm shocked a little bit more. I was reflecting just a few weeks ago, looking back at when we first learned it was actually a day that we were in freshman orientation, we learned that the surplus had ballooned to over $17 billion. And our new minority leader immediately released House Minority Leader, Lisa Damitz, immediately released a statement saying, well, this should at least close the door on any tax hikes. Right. And I thought, why do we have to say that? Of course, how would we? It was actually hard for me to wrap my head around the idea that was actually going to be a controversial statement at that point in time, and I think that was in December.
Do you think? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and lo and behold, every single day, something, it seems like it's something just a little bit crazier that's coming down the pike.
Do you think some sort of conventional fabric of American convention is being destroyed? In other words, it's American to pay your own debts. It's America not to abuse a child. It's America, on and on and on. Do you think some fundamental dynamic of what has made America America is being destroyed?
Well, I think it's un-American for the government to have a database and have employees who are out there trying to look at whether, political opinions cross the line into, some sort of civil rights violation, and to have funding to set up that kind of a database. But yes, I think that there are many ways in which the fundamental way our system is supposed to work, where we the people get to have free discussions about ideas. We get to have the religious beliefs that we want. We get to have the political opinions that we want. We get to express those freely, and then the government answers to us. I think that is being turned upside down. There are a number of ways, and this is one of them, but there are a number of ways in which this trifecta is trying to consolidate their political power over the state of Minnesota by interfering in that marketplace of ideas. There are two other bills where they are prioritizing or helping unions speak and trying to punish corporations that speak. In the labor bill that we just passed off the House floor yesterday, and in an elections bill where they're trying to ban corporate speech, but allow the same kind of labor union and nonprofit speech. So, this is a big effort by this very narrow DFL trifecta to consolidate their political power in ways that I think are just fundamentally at odds with the First Amendment and the principles that this country is founded on.
Will you run again?
I am running again, yeah. I'm running for re-election, yep.
What are you, nuts?
Well, I am running because I think, and this is what I said at the as we concluded our public safety and judiciary omnibus bill. I think that the way that bill came together and the debate that we had on the floor of the House is just a perfect distillation of why this DFL trifecta is unfit to lead in this state. And the people of Minnesota need to learn about that. So I will be talking to people in my district, but more importantly in other districts across the state of Minnesota to make sure that we do everything we can to save this state. I grew up in Andover. I live in Ramsey. I am proud to represent the community that I grew up in, and I'm proud to be from Minnesota, and what's happening in the state is not what the people of Minnesota signed up for. And so I am here. I am staying here. I know a lot of people are getting disheartened and leaving, and I hope that that does not happen because I think we need the people who are fed up and frustrated to stand up and rise up and talk to their neighbors about why what is going on in the state is unsustainable and wrong, and why we need to get to work to fix it.
You have children.
I do. I have three. We have three kids. My wife and I, an 11th grader, a 9th grader, and a 5th grader. I wanted to raise them in Minnesota. It was a great place for me to grow up, and I want to leave a state that's a great place for them to grow up and a great place for them to raise their kids someday. And there are a lot of things happening, obviously. And we've only touched on a couple of them here, but there are a lot of things that are taking the state in the wrong direction.
Well, God bless you. Let's clarify before we let you go, and I hope we speak with you now more frequently. Let's clarify something before we go. The line sexual orientation does not include physical or sexual attachment to children by an adult. That line is not going to be in the bill that Walz signs. Is that correct?
The bill that Walz signs is going to delete that line from the Minnesota statutes.
All right.
Does he know that?
That's a good question. Does Walz know that?
I expect that he knows that. I know that his commissioner of human rights who answers to him knows that and is specifically advocating for that, and is specifically advocating for us not to put protective language elsewhere in the Minnesota statutes to ensure that does not get misinterpreted by the courts to protect
He's
those who are
a
attracted to
teacher.
women.
He's a teacher. My God. Wow.
Well,
Yeah,
again, pedophilia remains a criminal act.
But it shouldn't be
this
protected
is the nose
from
in the tent, isn't it?
Yeah. No, they shouldn't be protected from discrimination. They should absolutely be discriminated against.
I agree.
Yeah, no, I have spoken face-to-face with his commissioner of human rights who answers directly to him on this issue and on the bias registry issue. And the way that we have drafted these statutes is just irresponsible, in my opinion, on both counts.
Harry, we love talking to you. Let's chat again.
Thanks so much for the great information.
It was a hell of an optimistic interview. Can't thank you enough for the time.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for what you're doing to get the word out to the people of Minnesota. And yes, I know this is we are in the closing days of this session, and it's disheartening times. But I do believe better days are ahead for the people of Minnesota, because I know from talking to Minnesotans, this is not what people who voted for Democrats last time around thought they were getting. And if we let them know what they're getting, I think we're going to be able to turn this around in the state of Minnesota. But it's going to be a lot of work, and I'm resolute, and I hope others will bow up and get to work along with me.
Hey, Harry, I think Kenny and I both wanted to ask you the same question. Is it true that Hortman wants to wrap this thing up because of a graduation ceremony taking place this weekend?
No, it's a reunion.
Or reunion, I'm sorry, reunion.
Well, it is true that she wants to wrap this up. and it is true that she is listed on a panel at a class reunion. And beyond that, I can't read her mind as to how to link those two things together.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair
I think
enough.
I think a lot of people are drawing inferences from those two true facts.
Thanks, Harry. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, then.
Rebecca Lucero.
Yeah, Rebecca Lucero is Walz's Department of Human Rights. Yeah.
He's going to find it here in a
What are you
second.
going to do, huh?
What is happening?
Hey. Isn't exactly clear.
There's something going on over there. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there.
We keep asking the same question. Why?
If you listen to, which we were listening to before this show, Walter Hudson, who hopefully is going to either be on with us tomorrow or Friday.
Yeah, I reached out to him, and I will provide this video you're about to mention to the Garage Logic show page.
There's a video that I can find no objection to. I don't think it's taken out of context or anything else. It's a video where Walter Hudson breaks down remarks that are being made by Lee. Is it Leah or Lee?
Lee
Finke.
Fink.
Now they're pronouncing it Finke in the legislature.
Oh.
Whatever. In which you can discern from her remarks that I believe she wishes for pedophilia to be a protected class. Is that reasonable?
I think that's fair.
On what we watch.
That's
if
fair.
I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But we'll link that. It's 26 minutes, so we don't have time on the show to play the whole thing. But Hudson,
It's alarming. It's very alarming.
Finke would remain in agreement, I suspect. Well, not I suspect. She would. She would remain in agreement that pedophilia, as it currently... Here's the key. As we, meaning GLers, as we understand it, is a crime. The crowd she represents, I'm going to surmise, wishes it to be understood not to be a crime. Is that based on what we listened to? Does that sound
Meaning it's
somewhat
just a way of life?
reasonable?
Well,
That's how I'm wired.
Not only do
Yeah.
yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And if you listen to the actual video and the breakdown about how troubling some of the language that's in there is, and Lee's statement about it is alarming. It just is.
But, Niska got wind of this. He comes along on April 26th. He successfully gets an amendment passed, 126-0, that says, no, you can't scratch that out of there.
Right.
We still have to have that in there in the Human Rights Bill. You still have to have in there that sexual orientation does not include pedophilia, only to discover they go into a conference committee and... what the hell worth is an amendment? I should have asked him that. What was the point of the amendment? It was easily diminished or gotten rid of in conference committee, so that line is not in the bill.
Right.
That line is not in the bill. I'm going to have these people over to my house because you know why? I don't like my garage door to make noises. No, I don't like the pulley and cable
I'm with
noises.
you.
Like a well-oiled machine.
And the guys at Precision Garage Door will come and do that. They have an 85-point inspection? And it's free.
Well, they cover everything,
No,
right?
it's at 25. There is an 85
That's
parts in the
60
garage
extra
door.
steps.
Right.
25-point safety inspection from your opener to your springs to your rollers. They're not trying to sell you anything. I met with these people. They're my new garage people. It's Precision Garage Door, Twin Cities. It's an $85 value. They'll do it for free. No purchase is necessary. Garage doors can break at any time. You don't want that to happen because garage doors are hard to open without the opener. Mine requires
It's
about
inconvenient.
15 neighbors to get the damn thing up. they're open 24/7. They don't charge you more for weekend visits. That's Precision Garage Door. They serve the metro in western Wisconsin. I like this. I like what I'm hearing. I guarantee you I'm going to like what I find out when they come over. They got the cans of stuff. You know, spray those.
Spray the stuff.
Keep that
WD-40.
Keep that thing quiet. They'll fix your door, replace your door, whatever you need. They fix garage doors correctly. PrecisionDoorMN.com.
Deep creep.
Hey, GLers, do you feel like it's harder to get in shape and stay in shape? Well, our sponsor, Nugenix Total T, is offering a complimentary bottle when you text 231-231 and enter the keyword garage. Hey, it's not your fault. As we all age, our body naturally loses free testosterone, you know, the man hormone. It happens to every man, and it can make it more difficult to stay in shape and be energetic and active. Remember when winning was easy? Yeah, well, that's because when you were younger, you were at the peak of your testosterone production. Wouldn't it be nice to get that winner's edge again and that old swagger back in your step? If you want more energy to counter the negative physical effects of aging, Nugenix Total T Testosterone Booster with Testofen is going to help you turn back the clock, re-energize your workouts, and get you better results at the gym and help you look and feel like the man you really want to be. Nugenix Total T is the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC, and it can help re-energize your life and help you get back the powerful, confident, good-looking warrior that you used to be. Now, get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T when you text 231-231 and enter the keyword garage. Text right now and you'll get a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, their most powerful fat incinerator ever, with key ingredients to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text 231-231 and enter the keyword garage. That's 231-231 and enter the keyword garage. Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Not really listening. So.
Rob O'Brien?
He's out of town this
many
week.
hats, just not indoors.
Did he email us?
I know you can buy these stupid, big, shiny boxes with neat pictures of deers and bears on them pretty much anywhere. The bent 2x4 store, the grocery store, the Walmart store. But stop, stop.
Hold on, hang on.
Don't do that. I need you to go to MapleGroveLockandSafe.com. Take a look at the Liberty lineup of safes. They provide the best protection from calamity you can possibly get. And then when you're convinced a little bit, to finish it off, stop into Maple Grove Lock and Safe, 6901 East Fish Lake Road. Meet the owner, Rich. Tell me you heard some fathead on the air talking about these Liberty safes, and you want to know if they're the real deal. He's an easygoing stand-up guy. He's not going to send you home with something you don't want and or need. And that's as far as also talking about your budget, too. He's not going to make you spend $10K on something if you don't need it. MapleGroveLockandSafe.com. Liberty Safes, a marriage made in heaven. Absolutely the best place in the Midwest to pick up a safe. Get to that website, MapleGroveLockandSafe.com.
Hello, listeners all throughout the United States and around the world. You're listening to a show that broadcasts from Minnesota. Minnesota is a state. For now, that is quite seriously getting destroyed, and in numerous ways, financially, for certain, but also culturally and ideology. I think one of the things the mystery and Mysterians have been successful in accomplishing is disabusing the human race of the idea of there being right and wrong. They live in everything goes, anything goes, and pedophilia is wrong. There's just no two ways about it. There's no
reason to protect.
You have no argument. It's wrong.
Hold on, Prebes.
And it still remains a crime. Let's turn to Bill Glahn, who we had in yesterday, and his writing from the Center of the American Experiment. You may recall that I discussed that two provisions in this post. The pedophilia issue appeared to have been solved. We just went through this with Harry Niska. The pedophilia issue appeared to have been solved with a timely amendment offered by State Rep Harry Niska that was adopted by a unanimous vote of the Minnesota House, 126-0. The problem occurs in the 500-plus page Public Safety Omnibus Bill, Senate File 2909, on page 438, lines 20 and 21. Sexual orientation does not include a physical or sexual attachment to children by an adult, meaning don't come around telling me you're a pedophilia and want exceptions for that or protections. That's not going to be in the bill. But they struck through that line. The strike-through indicates that the above language is being removed from existing statute section 36A.03, subdivision 44. The context of this removed language is that current state law protects everyone from discrimination based on their sexual orientation, whatever that may be for a given person. Current law makes clear that protected sexual orientations do not include those held by pedophiles. But that's been struck. Do you follow that? Mm-hmm. Here is the current definition of protected sexual orientation. Sexual orientation means having or being perceived as having an emotional, physical, or sexual attachment to another person without regard to the sex of that person, or having or being perceived as having an orientation for such attachment, or having or being perceived as having a self-image or identity not traditionally associated with one's biological maleness or femaleness. Sexual orientation does not include a physical or sexual attachment to children by an adult. That's the current law. The last line of the law being sexual orientation does not include a physical or sexual attachment to children by an adult. By removing that last sentence, there is no longer any lower limit to the age of the object of a person's orientation. The Niska Amendment made clear elsewhere in statute that pedophilia is not a protected class. That amendment was removed. The final language now holds that all sexual orientations are protected under state law, whatever they may be. And then I'm going to read a statement from Representative Niska. Without Republicans in the room, Democrats stripped from the bill language Niska successfully amended without opposition to House File 2890, a predecessor bill. He said his amendment eliminated concerns language in the original bill could be interpreted as protecting pedophiles under the Human Rights Act, simply indicating that physical or sexual attachments to children by an adult is not a protected class under the chapter. And he thought he had that solved. The 29-paragraph account in the Star Tribune has not a single word about the pro-pedophile change. I'm reading from Glahn again. Niska also points out that the bill includes $645,000 in new funding, line 5.28, for the Department of Human Rights to report on civil rights trends. The report, page 49, line 23, appears to be a warmed-over version of the hate speech registry that the Democrats were pushing earlier. The new language orders the department to analyze civil rights trends pursuant to this chapter, including information compiled from community organizations that work directly with historically marginalized communities, and prepare a report each biennium that recommends policy and system changes to reduce and prevent further civil rights incidents across Minnesota. The words trends, information, and incidents are not defined, so the department is free to track whatever they want for whatever purpose they desire. So these are two of the most crucial things. Well, there's three crucial things that have happened. One is the state has behaved financially irresponsibly. The surplus money will be spent and not saved or redistributed back to the taxpayers.
Which, number one, is huge fail to get over.
So they've behaved in a fiduciary manner that would get them in big, big trouble if they weren't in government.
Right.
And two, they have clung to the idea, clinged, whatever the word is, they have maintained the idea that they have the right to establish some sort of registry to define individuals who they might find to have been not ideologically pure enough in their eyes. We don't know who is going to determine that or what the ramifications that will be. And also in the Public Safety Omnibus Bill, they have struck the language that excludes pedophilia from being a protected class. And if you listen to the Finke remarks in the House, what I took from them, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. What I took from them is we just don't understand the true nature of sexual identity and sexual orientations, and we don't understand why it might be a sexual orientation to be attracted to children, and that's because we just don't understand that.
How about 60 seconds?
Yes.
Representative Finke.
Members, I rise in support of the bill today. I've risen numerous times on the floor since arriving here, but I haven't risen to speak since the last time that this bill was in this chamber.
Talking about public safety.
The last time this bill was in this chamber, my life turned upside down, and I haven't wanted to speak again because now I know what happens when I speak. What happens when I speak is different than it was before that day, and I'm nervous, and I just want to acknowledge that because this bill has completely upended my life.
That's too bad.
All right. So you'll notice right from the
Here's
outset
Hudson.
that the focus here is entirely on the representative's personal feelings and personal experience. And this really does set the stage for what follows, because the entire argument here is that because of how the law makes certain people feel, we ought to change it. Regardless of the substance of that law, regardless of the effect of that law on innocent life, we need to change the law because of how
Hudson.
certain people feel about it being worded in the way that it is.
Excuse me. My other bill that we have in this project is the Take Pride Act. And, a lot of things have.
Let's just pause right there. So the title of the bill that removes language from the Human Rights Act, excluding pedophilia from consideration as a sexual orientation, is called the Take Pride Act. So by implication, the LGBT community is taking pride in removing a civil protection against pedophilia from state law. That's what they're saying. It's not what I'm saying. That's not my presentation of their action. That's their presentation of their action. The Take Pride Act, which scratches out language from the Human Rights Act, which says we're not going to consider the physical or sexual attachment to a child by an adult to be a sexual orientation. Telling. Let's go forward.
Have been said about that piece of legislation. A lot of things have been said for the last few weeks, a lot of things in the Senate, a lot of things here tonight about this agency bill that I happened to pick up in my first session.
Okay, so that's worth pausing to note as well. And I didn't know this, that apparently this was an agency bill. And so, in other words, a state agency crafted this bill and handed it to the representative to introduce and to advance through the legislature. That's very alarming. So it's not just your elected officials who pushed for this. It's the people whose salaries are paid for with your tax dollars in positions of leadership within state agencies who are pushing this idea that we should remove an existing exemption of pedophilia from consideration as a sexual orientation or protected class. Alarming, don't you think? All right, let's go back.
It's enough.
Okay.
2 points about that. It was Lucero, Walz's commissioner of human rights, that apparently handcrafted this, which is unusual. Which means, of course, that Walz will have no trepidation about signing this. His own, presumably hand-selected commissioner is advancing this. Walz will sign this. And 2, there can be no doubt now that there was only one reason Finke ran for office.
Yep.
And one so overwhelmingly, with a lot of outside support. There can be only one reason he wanted to be in the legislature, and that was to bring about these actions for the trans community. Kenny, can't remember if Kenny said it on the air or off the air.
Well, let me say it here, because for the last 10 minutes I've been researching going into this. I asked off the air, how come nobody in the LGBTQ community has come out against Lee and said, wait a minute, what you're doing here is painting all of us in a rather negative light. Right. And none of us like kids or want anything to do with kids or think people that abuse kids should be protected. And I think you had some things to say about that. But meanwhile, I finally found something called the LGBTQ Nation. And I'm going back in their news. I'm all the way back to May 4th of this year. And they haven't said one thing about this case. And they cover every little thing that has to do with the gay, lesbian, trans across the entire United States. Just the most minutiae little stories you can possibly imagine. And they have not covered this case. And I'm wondering what the hell.
Well, I
have a question.
I know gay guys who have children, and they certainly would not be on board with this.
I would say the same thing about lesbian couples that have children, I would assume. Go ahead, John, what?
Well, I have been researching also like you through this whole thing.
Yeah.
In almost all cases, pedophilia is not considered medically or mentally as a sexual orientation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if it were a sexual orientation, you could never, according to their definition, you could never change it. In other words, you're born a pedophile and you stay a pedophile and you're not going to change it, just like a gay person. So it already is not considered a sexual orientation. And that's, the only reason they say that.
But this bill makes it a sexual orientation.
It is here.
See, I think if you scratch that line, or if you leave that line and you make it redundant, that's the way I would look at it. And I'm not saying I'm for or against.
You lost me. I don't.
I think you're trying too hard to be a contrarian. If you take that line out of the bill, you are protecting pedophilia for legal purposes as a sexual orientation.
If you leave it in there, then you're already making a statement that we already know is true. For instance, my tree is green.
No, obviously there was a need for it to be in there, which we're now witnessing.
It's legally. Are you speaking legally? Or?
I'm speaking culturally, ideologically, theologically, and legally.
Yeah. But it's all about discrimination against this group.
I'm going to discriminate against pedophiles.
Sorry. Yeah, well, that's just natural. Yeah, why wouldn't you?
That's what they want to protect them from.
They're not going to stop me.
Yeah, it's like saying
I
to
don't
me,
disagree. Don't yell at me.
No, you're right. If pedophilia is a crime and it's not a sexual orientation, what's the difference between saying that or putting in a bill that a murderer cannot be?
I see John's point. And then so the question is, so what the hell's going on here?
What's your game?
What's the end game?
Why? Exactly. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, see, and I believe there is an end game.
I do too. I'm with Joe.
And I want to watch this, the Hudson thing, because I want to see if there's
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently I'm getting all kinds of very hysterical signals
Just trying to keep the old train on the track.
We have to take a break. Okay.
Everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you take a break, I'm going to take a break on my scooter. I rode it last night.
Did you?
Had to go to a situation. I rode my scooter.
Here he comes.
And guys gathered around it and said, man, do you look tough on that thing, huh? That Harley? No, it's not a Harley. It's a Yamaha service by EcoFun Motorsports in Forest Lake and Burnsville. EcoFun Motorsports has all the gas-powered scooters that turn every urban errand into an adventure. They've got the youth recreational equipment. They've got golf carts. They've got 4x4s. They've got, well, of course, it's the electric bike capital of the world, Bentelli e-bikes.
Here comes Joe.
Here I come, Bentelli e-bikes. The Vanderhall Roadsters. I'm afraid to go there because I got to come away with either a golf cart or a Vanderhall Roadster. Great service, apparel, helmets, good people. EcoFun has been with us almost from the very beginning, and we appreciate it, and GLers have enjoyed discovering EcoFun Motorsports in Forest Lake on Highway 97, immediately west of 35, and in Burnsville on the Service Road of Life near County Road 42, EcoFunMotorsports.com.
Not a Garage Logic town council member? Here's what you're missing.
I don't understand how you get all those Democrats to agree with that.
It's a you're either with us or against us mentality, right, Johnny?
Ridiculous. I'll be calling them about you guys. You know what Reaver said today?
They made my employment very uncomfortable.
53-minute mark in the Tuesday podcast.
Yeah. Get a ticket, maybe.
It's a collective.
There can't be. See, if that happens, then, I mean, there can't be. That can never happen.
What's the point of this?
John, how can you say that, though, when you see what's happening?
But that's so over-the-top stupid that they couldn't possibly...
Hello. Well, Joe, I hope you're happy.
Why? Yeah, you're responsible for all this.
Yeah, Joe. We're blaming Joe for all of this.
Go behind the scenes of Garage Logic with unfiltered audio and video access, invites to exclusive events, an emailed newsletter from the mayor himself, and more by signing up at GarageLogic.com.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
Dave at ProfessionalTurf.com. Boy, he really knows how to do it right. He's got himself he's got a division that does the irrigation stuff for homes and for commercial buildings. If you got an irrigation system, he can fix that thing. He can wake it up in the spring, put it to bed in the fall. He's got himself this lawn deal where if you've got a skanky yard, they're going to come out and turn that deal around. Next thing you know, you're going to have the best lawn in the block. You didn't have to lift a finger. All you did was log on to ProfessionalTurf.com. Then he's got this landscaping division. Who knew? They're absolutely brilliant. If you want to make a change, I'm picturing your backyard right now, pal. It looks like the Addams family. And like your grandpa, you probably got an illegal weed growing right back there behind the shed, don't you? Just like Rookie's grandpa.
Yeah.
ProTurf can come in there. If you want to keep the weed, I suppose they can keep it. They don't care. But they can get rid of all the other crap. Get rid of that stuff that was put in the late 50s and it looks like it. And they can do whatever you want. Rocks, sure, a pond, a creek, mulch bed, trees, perennials. You name it, they can do it. You'll be happy. You'll have the best lawn in the neighborhood and an amazing outdoor environment. And all you had to do was click on ProfessionalTurf.com.
Based on the first 50 minutes of this show, there is nothing to prevent me from thinking that this state is run by some really, really bad people. I mean that seriously. Really bad people. And we're stuck with them until they're defeated and gotten out of here. Evil's not too strong a word. Because I'm convinced that I don't trust these people as far as I can throw them. You don't want that line in the human rights bill that excludes. You want to include sexual attachment to children as a sexual orientation. You want to include it. I want to exclude it. That's my sermon.
And basically, if Finky's for it, I'm against it. I'm just
whatever that character's for.
They would come back at you and say, "We want to protect all Minnesotans, no matter who they are, from discrimination.
Well, I'm
and
sorry.
that includes felons.
You come
and
into my
child
store and
rapers,
apply for a job, and you put down pedophilia, I'm kicking your ass out. You ain't getting the job.
sheep lovers.
Yeah.
Come on in.
Yeah.
Whatever you're into, we're going to protect you from discrimination, even if it's illegal.
Here's John Heidt.
Even though there's not going to be any jobs for you to apply for in a couple of years.
No, because these people are financial idiots.
Because they don't do the job they're supposed to. Okay, now to the news.
No, you're right. Expand on that.
No, he's right.
Expand on that.
Don't fix the highways. Come on.
Yeah,
just do
they're
what you're
busy
supposed to
kicking this nonsense around when you're right, John. Let's go with the highway
But
here.
if this isn't nonsense, if this is what they're focused on and they win this, that ain't nonsense.
How about we have an a la carte system with our taxes? I want to pay for roads.
You choose.
Oh, I'd love that idea.
You know, sure. Here's some money for the schools.
I'll
That's
go
fine.
streetlights.
Yeah, streetlights. I'll do that. Okay, what else? But all this other garbage, I'm good. I don't want to pay for that.
There's a pothole on Edgecombe in St. Paul that is the worst, and I'm not exaggerating, the worst I've seen. And everyone knows it now, so we know how to get around
Give
it.
me the cross street.
Oh, I will.
Is it on the curb? Okay.
But I want to make a sign, a professional sign. Hey, St. Paul residents, how do you like your property taxes now? And I want to put it on a stand inside that pothole.
Like it's a billboard.
Yeah.
It's a traffic cone.
Yeah.
You know,
there
the
was a traffic cone in it that's been removed.
Oh, my God.
What's a safety hazard?
Maybe they fixed it once.
Do you guys have warning signs saying pothole ahead like we do out in the country?
No, we don't have that. That costs too much.
I keep going back to what you said when Putin invaded Ukraine. You remember what you said?
No.
Because he knows he knew he could get away with it because the United States is not a serious country.
Right.
This is the kind of things we're worried about.
Yep.
The up here at Andover, they're about every 10 feet, but it's like a road. So you just avoid that one area because they continue on for a mile every 10 feet.
They're well spaced.
Yeah, perfectly spaced. Yeah. The first a la carte folks, Chris, you know who that was for taxes? It was all the radical lefties in the late 60s who said, I'll pay my taxes. I don't want to pay for the Vietnam War. That was a Joan Baez thing. I remember it.
I'll take a lefty from the late 60s over these idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're conservatives by today's standards.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't that be you? A lefty?
That's why I'm saying that. I'll take me.
I'll take me over
you and Tricky Dick Nixon.
All right. In the news, by the way, this news is brought to you by ProfessionalTurf.com. Early this morning, members of the Minnesota Senate passed an education finance bill, speaking of spending money, with a 35-32 vote. The passage comes one day after the House of Reps passed it 70-62, and it now heads to Governor Tim Walz's desk, where he will, we assume, sign it.
You think he will? You think so?
Oh,
You think so?
I don't know. Look over.
Turned out to be a bad guy. I had no idea.
But this is an additional amount, right? The two.
Legislation increases state spending on education by about $2.26 billion.
Right, because that's going to solve everything.
Or 10% over the next 2 years. Wow. It also boosts per student spending by 4% next year and 2% in 2025. Civics and personal finance courses will be required for high school graduations for students who start ninth grade in the 2024-2025 school year, and Holocaust and genocide studies will be added to the social studies curriculum starting in the 2026-2027 school year. The education finance bill also includes other provisions, such as replacing Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day on the school calendar and prohibiting the use of Native American symbols or names as mascots unless all 11 Minnesota tribes approve an exemption. Schools will also be required to carry menstrual products and opiate antagonists. Lawmakers also approved $74.4 million for support personnel aid and workforce development to respond to students' mental, behavioral, or physical health needs.
I'm so old, I remember that we studied things like the Holocaust in history class. Yeah, we didn't need any legislative
dinosaur, huh?
We didn't need any legislative action.
One of the numbers you just cited, John,
yes, sir,
struck me. You just said $2.6 billion increase,
correct,
which is 10% of the budget.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a 10% increase over the next 2 years.
A 10% increase of the school budget.
Right.
Of the school budget,
Which is more than half the state's budget.
Right, meaning that's now going from 26 bill to 28.6. Wow, that's a lot of money. That is a lot.
What are these morons going to do when companies start leaving the state?
You mean the ones that it's already happening?
Yeah. What are they going to do?
It's all fun and games, so you run out other people's money, Joe.
Well, did you see Governor Walz's tweet was, hey, Florida teachers and families, come to Minnesota. We're the place to live in 2023.
Yeah, I'm moving to Florida to move to this godforsaken
How long
hellhole.
ago was that, Matt?
Yesterday, I believe.
I think it was
So
yesterday.
he's still pounding on that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's been a deal for, when did we do that fake ad, John? About 6 months ago.
It was a while ago.
Yeah.
New details are expected to be revealed actually this hour as we record this regarding the state settlement with e-cigarette maker Juul and tobacco giant Altria. Governor Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison set to announce details at an afternoon press conference. Settlement was reached on the day of closing arguments in the trial against the two companies. Settlement terms have remained confidential since documents needed to be filed with the court. Before the trial, Ellison said he was looking for more than $100 million in damages. Last year, Ellison spoke out after multiple states reached a $438.5 million settlement with Juul, saying Minnesota was not a part of that settlement. He issued a statement on Twitter regarding the deal, saying, in part, we are taking Juul and Altria to trial. We'll be the first state to do so for deceiving Minnesotans about the harms their products causes, especially on young
I guess
people.
if the documents are private, we'll never know how much Ellison's going to skim off the take. Allegedly.
Allegedly, thank you.
Target today reporting another quarterly profit decline, issued a cautious sales and profit outlook for the current period. Minneapolis-based company dealing with rising costs, which includes rising theft as a big factor, and consumers who have become more cautious about spending their money. Despite all of that, the company still topped Wall Street expectations and stuck to annual profit guidance above industry analyst projections. Target is among the first major U.S. retailers to report quarterly results. A lot of attention will be paid to the impact that all of this has on customers. Walmart, the nation's largest retailer, reports earnings tomorrow. Macy's, Kohl's, and Nordstrom post quarterly results later this month.
Are you aware that Target is going to debut a new LGBTQ clothing line for kids?
Mm-hmm. I was not.
Pride Kids,
the hell
BU,
is that?
one-piece swimsuits, Pride Toddlers, sleeveless rompers.
What does that mean? A romper is a romper.
Happy Socks Kids. That's a 3-pack of Pride socks. Pride Toddler rainbow leggings. Pride Kids sleeveless A-line dress, pink. Target. What? Okay.
Wow.
So they got all that. So the next time you're at Target, you can get Pride clothes. Take Pride.
Something to look forward
The
to.
Take Pride Act. Hey, that's great.
A man who was arrested
Worked pretty
last
well for Anheuser-Busch. Maybe it'll work that well for Target.
man who was arrested last year in Savage and is accused of preparing for a violent battle with police has pleaded guilty now to a federal charge. U.S. Attorney's Office's 21-year-old River William Smith pleaded guilty to possession of a machine gun yesterday. The Attorney's Office says concerned citizens told the FBI in September about his weird behavior at a gun range. Over the next couple of months, court documents say Smith started talking with an FBI confidential source through social media. It said he was pro-mass shooting and sympathized and admired past school shooters. Federal authorities also learned Smith had access to an AR-style rifle, handguns, body armor, and a Kevlar helmet, and he had studied what he called the enemy by watching police body cam videos of shootings. According to federal prosecutors, Smith asked a different confidential FBI source for auto sears on November 17th, hoping to make his AR-15 rifle and handguns into fully automatic weapons. He then bought the auto sears from the informant November 28th, also asked about getting some hand grenades, which he then bought from the source in December. Smith was arrested during a scheduled meeting between him and the confidential source. His sentencing date has not yet been scheduled. A Forest Lake woman received a very unusual honor from a restaurant. Chris Henry inducted yesterday into the White Castle Cravers Hall of Fame at the company's corporate headquarters in Ohio. Henry was selected after writing a letter to the company saying she bought her home because it was close to a White Castle.
I would have bet $1,000 she wasn't married, but she's married.
Henry said, "It was amazingly excited. I never in a million years would I have thought I'd be sitting here."
Is there meat in is there meat in one of those burgers?
Steamed meat and onions.
I knew you'd know that.
Yes.
Yeah. You're the food guy.
Yes.
How awesome would it be to live next to that chicken joint? Just walk right up to the window.
Yeah,
I just have them
all day
just
long.
have them hand me a chicken breast.
Reach out the window.
No bun.
Keep the bread.
Yeah, no bread.
Just put it in my hand.
Oh God, help me! This woman has got an award. Oh my God,
Yeah, she
was
not
on
only
the
an
news
award
last night.
Yeah,
She was on the news last night.
Yeah, she got
This
not
was
only
news.
You seen it?
I seen it.
I seen it. She got not only the award, Joe, but you probably saw this. Then too, she got, and this is how it was written in the story, the iconic White Castle jacket.
Oh,
Never seen one.
I seen
Never
it.
seen one.
Oh, I seen it.
You seen it?
I
seen it.
I've seen it.
Let me tell you my White Castle story. I'll make it short.
I hope
when
so.
I first met my wife and we came to visit her family here in Minnesota, I didn't know what White Castle was. We don't have them in North Dakota, right? So they said, "Oh man, let's get burgers. We'll go to White Castle." I'm thinking I'm going to get a big, juicy,
Let's go, baby.
rare burger.
Yeah.
And I get, this thing, this
Yeah, with
big,
sheetrock or something. It was,
that smells like,
You know, Sanibel Jim is an otherwise
Wrong.
normal guy. Sanibel Jim, normal guy.
Somewhat.
He takes his wife to White Castle on their anniversary.
Aw.
He said they get candles and the whole deal.
Well, if she likes it, maybe she likes it.
Sanibel,
Valentine's Day.
I don't know about that.
My wife loves White Castle, but I won't allow her to buy it and put it in the car because
Rook,
it makes the car
you might as
smell
well
so
tell
bad.
us what you use it for.
What I use White Castle for?
Yeah.
Eating.
Dressing.
Well, what about your dressing?
Yeah, that's right.
Dressing.
Yeah, that's the one
Jeez,
thing.
I didn't know what you were going to say.
I didn't know either.
There's something
Really
in the
worried
boot
about it
law.
until I
Sit on it for a while.
There's this cavity.
Let's on that note, let's hear more from the Rook as we take a short break from the news.
Well, let's switch some gears. We've been talking about the government trying to help people out or legislation and all this other crap.
Forget them.
They can't help you.
No,
they
not
can't
the
help
way
you in
these
the
guys
right
can.
way. Minnesota Masonic Charities. Go to mnmasoniccharities.org. They're in the private sector. They have been helping people out. The Freemasons started helping people out a long, long time ago, and that trend continues today, which is why Minnesota Masonic Charities, which started in 2006, they all combined, and they said, let's keep doing a good job. Let's keep helping people, whether it be scholarships, whether it be just helping people that are old get a soft ending to their life, all sorts of stuff. Helping children's, they're compassionate, they're committed, and they're capable. They are garage logicians. They're in the garage, for crying out loud, figuring out how can we help these people that need our help without the government being involved. And they've done it. They've done it for hundreds of years, and specifically Minnesota Masonic Charities has done it since 2006. Please learn more by going to their website, mnmasoniccharities.org. Find out about the scholarships for next year, 952-948-6200, minnesotamasonicharities.org.
We haven't had many roofers join us on Garage Logic, but Pete is with us from Hire a Pro, and he wants to explain to you how they do what they do.
Hey, Joe. In the end, I got tired of door knockers, and, the profits on residential roofing are obscene. I came up with a better way to get it done. At Hire a Pro, we help the homeowner get their roof replaced from their insurance proceeds so that they can earn what a roofing company normally would in profits instead.
Yeah, but I thought it works like this. The homeowner isn't supposed to make money on their insurance claim.
So let me ask you this. When it hails on the roof of somebody who owns a roofing company, do you think the insurance company is making them find another company to do the job?
No.
That's right. It's legal to make money on it, but it's illegal for a contractor to pay you for the job. Most people just don't know a crew. They don't know what materials to get. We take care of all of that for them so that they can earn like a roofing company would, replacing their own roof.
So look, if insurance has approved your roof replacement, give these guys a call at 651-402-3400. That's 651-402-3400, or visit them online at hirea.pro. That's hire then put the dot there, pro.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
We've got a big event to look forward to coming from DK Mags in June. DK Mags is providing a Sig Sauer Try Before You Buy event at Metro Gun Club on the 3rd of June, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Along with this one-day event, DK Mags, they'll also be offering 10% off Sig Sauer firearms, accessories, 15% off ammo, and Saturday will be the last day to qualify for the $60 Sig Sauer web store promotion. And if that's not enough, as my voice cracks, DK Mags will be giving away a Metro Gun Club pistol membership. All you have to do is sign up when you try a SIG on the 3rd. And when you visit DK Mags, make sure to sign up for a chance to win a second membership. You got a lot of signing up to do is the deal here, but it could all pay off in the end. Remember, all of the same pricing. It's available at their second location, Monticello Pawn and Gun. DK Mags, they're on Old 8 in New Brighton and on the web, dkmags.com.
A courier just delivered from the governor's office the new ad that'll start running on Twin Cities radio stations.
I think in Florida. This is running in Florida.
I'm sorry, it's running in Florida. This is from the state of Minnesota.
Tired of trying to avoid Florida man, alligators, and hurricanes? Come to Minnesota. We procreate and recreate all year round.
Spring on the lake, that's when we take our old car to the lake. Then we stand around and we bide our time, wait for the ice to break. Winter time at the old lake, cut a hole and poop. The warden bursts in, he says hello, you just say oops.
We also welcome your poor driving habits.
Minnesotans drive too slow in the fast lane. They drive too fast in the snow. You lived here 35 years by now, you should know.
Don't be afraid of the cold. You can camp outdoors in -35.
It's 35 below. Let's set up camp and live outdoors. Don't need food or drink, and you never have to go to the store except the liquor store.
Please come to Minnesota, even though we really don't want you here. Drive safe and look out for deer.
Tell your folks I said hi.
Thank you. They're hearing that.
Yeah. If I was in Florida,
That's in response to yesterday. Governor Tim Walz tweeted out, Florida teachers and families, if you're looking for a place where you can live in 2023, you're welcome in Minnesota.
I'm sure they'll be flocking here.
He was doing that back in December.
Yeah, I was going to say he tweets that every week.
Every week or so, he sends out another message to Floridians who no tax. Remember that.
Well, this
Free
was
state,
also
warm.
in response to a Florida teacher. This is from CNN. Florida teacher says she is under investigation after showing 5th grade class Disney movie with gay character. I don't know what that means.
Well, it's a story because she was then interviewed and said, well, it doesn't matter because when your child comes to the classroom, they're property of the public school system. That's why it's a story.
That sounds like a really old story. Yeah. I seem to remember that one from 6 months ago, too.
Oh, this one says May 15th, 2023.
Okay. All right.
In other news, authorities say they're still not sure why that 18-year-old gunman went on a shooting spree Monday in New Mexico. A 98-year-old woman and her 73-year-old daughter among the 3 people killed by 18-year-old Bo Wilson, a high school student who roamed through the neighborhood on Monday, firing indiscriminately at homes and passersby in their vehicles, according to authorities in the northwestern New Mexico town of Farmington. In all, Wilson shot 9 people Monday morning before 4 Farmington police officers fatally shot him. Farmington Police Sergeant Rachel DeCenzo was wounded in exchange of fire with the assailant. New Mexico State Police Officer Andres Stamatias was shot as he came to the scene. 4 other wounded victims were hospitalized. They've been released, though. Investigators are still working on a motive for the shooting. Interviews with Wilson's family indicated they had concerns about his mental health, but it was unknown whether Wilson had been diagnosed with any mental health issues. The shooter only had minor infractions as a juvenile, so he was not on the radar of authorities, according to a deputy. Wells Fargo has agreed to pay $1 billion, that's with a B, to settle a lawsuit filed by its shareholders who allege the bank made misleading statements about its compliance with federal regulators after that fake account opening scandal came to light back in 2016. The class action lawsuit filed on behalf of hundreds of thousands of public employees of Rhode Island and Mississippi, whose retirement funds had invested in Wells Fargo. A federal judge in New York granted preliminary approval of the settlement that was filed late Monday.
John, you were wondering earlier about the lawsuit with the state and Jewel. Hauser just tweeted a minute ago that it is now official.
Did they say how much or anything, or no?
$60.5 million in lawsuit settlement for selling e-cigarette products harmful to kids. They'll also pay state legal fees. Ellison says the company's deceptively marketed to kids during peak of vaping epidemic.
Got it. Democrats scoring victories on Tuesday that could bode well, according to political watchers, for the party's chances in 2024. In Jacksonville, Florida, voters elected Donna Deegan as the city's first female mayor ever. Deegan came into the contest as a big underdog, but earned 52% of the vote to beat Republican Daniel Davis. Davis was endorsed by Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, and had a substantial fundraising advantage. Florida Democrats have struggled in recent elections, but political watchers say Deegan's win undermines suggestions that the state is firmly Republican. Meanwhile, in Pennsylvania, victory in a special election gave Democrats the 102 seats needed to control the agenda in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. State Senate has a Republican majority in Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, on the Republican side, a Donald Trump-backed candidate defeated a candidate backed by Ron DeSantis in the Kentucky Republican gubernatorial primary. Daniel Cameron coming out on top there. He'll face incumbent Democrat Andy Beshear. College wars in Florida. Students of the new college in Florida plan to host an alternative graduation ceremony to oppose what they call a hostile takeover of their institution through trustees appointed by Governor DeSantis earlier this year. Graduation, which will be separate from the official ceremony, is being organized by new college seniors with support from the alumni-run Novo Collegian Alliance. They've raised already $105,000 of the $130,000 funding goal for the ceremony on the GoFundMe page. And Governor DeSantis had appointed 6 new members to a board of trustees in January, leading to a backlash from students who oppose the views. The tapping of Scott Atlas as the speaker for the graduation ceremony on Friday also became a flashpoint between students and the administration. Dr. Atlas, a controversial figure, served as a top advisor to Donald Trump. In their alternative commencement ceremony scheduled for Thursday, the students invited Maya Wiley, an attorney and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, as the keynote speaker. According to the outlet, while the students opposed the changes brought by DeSantis, they were unable to have a significant impact on them. The moves by the board included the removal of the school's president, Patricia Oker, replacing her with a former Republican House Speaker in Florida who earns about $700,000 annually, more than double his predecessor. Your gal, Joe, Martha Stewart, making news.
How about this?
Hello, baby.
Va-va-voom.
Hello, baby.
Pass.
Martha will become...
Pass to Martha.
Will become the oldest woman to appear on the cover of Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. 81-year-old is one of the latest cover stars of the magazine's new issue, the 2023 issue, stealing the title of the oldest to pose for the publication from Mae Musk, who appeared on a cover in 2022 at the age of 74. She said, "Usually I'm motivated by pay, but this time I was motivated by showing people a woman my age can still look good, feel good, and be good."
They put the makeup on her with a mop.
Stewart added, "I thought this is kind of historic and that I better look really good."
They have to tighten up some of that sagging neck skin, and
yeah, they got her tightened up pretty good. She
a lot
looks
of
pretty
scarves
good.
and flowing long sleeves.
No, she gives you a peek.
Is she still hanging with Snoop?
What about the fat bat wing that hangs under your arms?
Yeah, more importantly, you mentioned Snoop. Mm-hmm. Guess who wants to buy the Ottawa Senators National Hockey League team?
Not Snoop.
Snoop.
That wasn't a very fun game. You kind of led the witness there.
He's part of a group that wants to buy the Ottawa Senators.
Wow.
Joe, have you ever enjoyed the dulcet tones of Snoop?
Very good-looking sport coat you've got on.
Sorry.
Yeah, I have.
You have?
Yeah.
And?
I'm a big fan of Snoop.
What's my name? Can you rap along?
I don't know any songs.
You can't rap along with that?
Drop it like it's hot.
I'm just a fan of Snoop as a character, not his rapping.
Having met and chatted with Snoop in person when he came to do that coach.
Any friend of my gal Martha is a friend of mine.
Did you tell him you were the Rook from Garage Logic?
Yeah, and then I asked for his Twitter handle so I could tweet everybody and mention it. No, he was really cool. He was higher than a kite.
Yeah.
He came in with his fur on and his limo with his posse, but he answered every question. It wasn't he was articulate.
I just think he's a character.
Was he high on dope or on marijuana cigarettes?
Well, I asked if he was on the reefer. I said, I smell something like reefer. Was someone in your car smoking? And he just said, yeah.
I love Snoop for the same reasons Joe does. Last week he was at a seminar, and he immediately went off on the music industry and on streaming, how nobody can make any money. Yeah. And it was very intelligent and profane at the same time. Yeah, it was wonderful.
Do you realize?
Go ahead. His songs?
No, he just finally said at the end. He said, "I know I'm not following the script I'm supposed to here," and then he did another 3 minutes explaining what was wrong with streaming.
Cool.
Do you know what the Twin Cities are going to smell like July 1st?
I'm going to be sick
when the dope is legal.
The dope.
The reefer. People will be on the reefer.
They'll be on the reefer, and if you think you smell it now, wait till then.
It's going to be like that Impala lowrider that Cheech was driving.
Right.
Yeah.
Stuff billowing out the windows.
Yeah.
That has the shack thing going.
You kids and your long hair.
Yeah.
No,
you dopers.
Are you on the dope?
Service was temporarily halted on line of Mexico City's subway system after a chicken got loose on the tracks. Video distributed by the city's metro system Monday showed the electricity cut off at a station near the city center on Sunday. It showed maintenance personnel and civil defense officers, civil defense officers in hard hats, chasing the chicken around the tracks with brooms, gloves, and a trash bag. The chicken eluded several attempts to capture it before one worker finally tossed his coat over the bird and they picked it up. The metro system said service was quickly restored after the incident, although the trains were not running for close to an hour. Mexico City's subway system has been plagued by a series of weird incidents. Earlier this year, a woman was arrested but later released after bits of a plastic washing machine agitator fell on the subway tracks at another station. It was later determined the incident was accidental and the woman was released.
John, you got to watch out when you can pick up those chickens. You grab them the wrong way and you might accidentally, choke them.
I would have just run over the chicken and kept the subway going.
That's how you handle it, huh?
Yeah.
You can get another chicken.
Get another one. You need a chicken?
I can get you a chicken by 3 o'clock.
And a
Not too tight.
There was a chicken in my yard last year.
A chicken?
Really? Chicken
Did
walking through my yard.
Out of a pen.
Somebody's playing farm. Yeah.
We had a town chicken a few years ago till the town finally got sick of it and brought it out to the country. Yeah. Kicked it out of the window.
Wings for everybody.
Yeah. Nobody's seen it
John,
since.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That was just fantastic. And
are you sure?
Well, we're not done yet, but we'll be back.
But first.
Speaking
of chicken,
bunga.
You got to do something about those mosquitoes.
Chickens probably are no help with mosquitoes.
I'm just kidding. Mosquito Shield. That's who I'm here to speak on behalf of because it's officially mosquito season. And if you're getting eaten up in your yard, well, call my friends at Mosquito Shield. They are owned and operated by a couple of GLers, fantastic guys. It's Ray and Mike, the father and son team that own and operate 2 franchises right here in the Twin Cities. Their territory, well, go online. MoShield.com, and you can see their territory. But getting rid of mosquitoes and ticks is their expertise. They're not like other pest control companies that also spray for bugs. They focus on the mosquitoes and the ticks only. And they have a proprietary blend that is specifically formulated to rid your yard of mosquitoes and ticks. And it was invented by the founder of Mosquito Shield, and it's used exclusively by the company. You can't just go buy this on the shelf. So, MoShield.com. MoShield.com. That's their website. Just enter your zip code and you're going to be able to find them. Or you can also just give Mike and Kelsey a call directly at 612-619-1556. 612-619-1556. If you mention GL, you are going to get $50 off your service. Please let them know you heard about them here on the Garage Logic Podcast.
For the past 165 years, Minnesotans have been enjoying all this great state has to offer. From Niagara Cave to the Lake of the Woods, outdoor adventures abound. Did you know Minnesota spans more than 86,000 square miles? It's great. We can experience a state so rich in landmarks, landscapes, art, and adventures. With so many options, it got us thinking, why are so many Minnesotans limiting their home and auto insurance options? Today, 80% of Minnesotans Minnesotans have their insurance with just one agent who only has one company. No options. At the Canopy Group, we offer you 16 companies for your home and auto insurance and 40 professional agents. So as your needs change, we have options that continue to provide you with the best coverage for the best price. You wouldn't want to fish in only one of Minnesota's 10,000 lakes, and we don't want you to be stuck with only one insurance company. Visit thecanopygroup.com or call 800-967-3389 and get your insurance options today.
Am I done yet?
Are we done yet?
You cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Souchere.
Tri-State Bobcat in Little Canada, Hudson, and Burnsville. They've got a couple of Toro Time Cutter zero-turn mowers on sale right now that you should probably look into, or at least run the numbers. The first one is the Toro 54-inch. That's the Time Cutter with the MyRide suspension. Price $48.99, but hold on. The Toro rebate is $200. The Tri-State Bobcat rebate is $200. Final price $42.99. That's a dang good price on a dang good unit. Now listen to this one. The 50-inch Time Cutter, $38.99 minus $100. That's an instant rebate. Final price $37.99. But listen what you get with that final price. That includes a Tri-State Bobcat special 5-year warranty and a Toro Total Care warranty extension of $460 value. The Toro Total Care, that allows coverage for pickup and delivery within 25 miles on the riding units and up to a 30% reimbursement on covered maintenance items from Toro. So to sum it up, you're getting an amazing zero-turn 50-inch Time Cutter at a dang good price with so much warranty piled up on it that you probably won't even need another mower for the rest of your life. Tri-State Bobcat, they have the Metro covered, Burnsville, Little Canada, Hudson, and they also have Owatonna covered at Mankey's Equipment and a pretty cool website, tristatebobcat.com. That's how I feel.
We done yet? No, we're not. In light of today's show, I want to read this letter from Chris.
Wow.
No, I'm going to read this letter first.
Gotcha.
Dear Mayor, the litany of death, destruction, and degradation of our state, which is conveyed on GL Daily, is reflecting my despair over what has happened to us in so short a period. My roots in this state go back to just after the Civil War, when my forefathers and mothers made their way here from Germany. For all of the years that I lived away from Minnesota, I defended our state from the teasing I endured about being from such a hick place. At that time, Minnesota had the highest high school graduation rate in the country, low crime rates, high home ownership, numerous large and small businesses, which made the economy diverse and strong, and incredible natural resources and beauty. As with any place where humans live, there were issues, but for the most part, Minnesota was a great place to live, own a business, raise a family, retire. Can it truly be said that any of that is now true? The Center of the American Experiments magazine had as a cover story headline in the winter 2020 edition, "A Cold California?" The article laid out in frank terms the very agenda that we have seen enacted with seeming shocking rapidity over the past few months. Those who have been paying attention, like you and the Center of the American Experiment, Alpha News, and others, cannot really be surprised at the legislation that has sailed through the commissariat pretending to be a representative government in St. Paul. They've been telling us they would do this as soon as they could get the power to do so. A one-vote majority does not signal temperance or comity to them. It signals full steam ahead. I weep for my state, and although I miss my elderly relatives very much, I am so glad they are not here to see what has happened to the place they loved enough to settle, build families and businesses, and make better for their progeny. You are skeptical that people will vote with their feet and leave. With all the greatest respect, Mayor, you are wrong. I know numerous people who have already done so, packing up homes, families, and businesses, and going to more acceptable tax and policy states. The same course is in my near future. I love this place, but not so much that I am willing to be forced to hand over ever more money to a governmental behemoth that openly hates and denigrates my values, faith, freedom, and beliefs. To them I say, in the words of Davy Crockett, y'all can go to hell. I'm going to Texas. From the shores of Gitche Gumee, Chris. We've had numerous emails from Chris.
You know, speaking of the Center of the American Experiment, and we had Bill Glahn on the show yesterday, he tweeted out a trip, I believe it was either this morning or yesterday morning, a trip through the current conditions of George Floyd Square.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's all over South Minneapolis, but yeah.
I missed your first part of your sentence. I'm sorry.
Bill Glahn,
Yeah.
our guest yesterday.
Yes.
He took a trip through, Kenny said South Minneapolis, but most notably George Floyd Square.
Right.
It's pretty eye-opening.
Well, the true liberal radicals don't have a real good eye for decorating. How about that?
Okay.
John, I had a music note for you, and I forgot to include it for Mike Soltis. Hey, GL crew, listening to the podcast from last week regarding Prince's car and him listening to new tracks, it is true, as his guitar tech for many years. I can attest to that. His theory was that nobody listens to music on studio reference monitors. They mostly listen on small speakers in the car or at home. So he wanted to be sure the mix was heard well in those environments. Also, he drives a BMW. Thanks, Mike Soltis. So
Yeah, that's my kid's theory also. As soon as he mixes it, he takes it out to the car.
So Prince did drive up and down the highway that's now called, what, Prince Rogers Nelson Highway?
Yeah.
We are so lame in this state that we can't come up with a highway dedicated to Prince that just rolls off your tongue. You've got to get all of his. Why don't you throw in his birth date and his death date too? You stupid.
Why don't you just call it Purple Rain?
Asset.
Yeah.
Purple Rain Highway.
Little red Corvette. Right?
My God, you've got so many options. Instead, you put it down like it's his death certificate. Yeah. The death certificate drive.
How about something control highway?
Yeah.
That's. I don't think that one would have flown.
And a note about coffee.
I like Prince Drive.
We had the note about the anarchist in Toronto who went out of business trying to sell coffee.
Yeah.
This guy's got a pretty good link. This is Zach. I'm submitting this from my phone, so I'll keep it short, and please forgive any typos. I'd like to point out the beginnings of a link. I've noticed this for a while now, but it didn't click until the coffee discussion yesterday. Here's the start of the link. Do with it what you will. A person's tendency to support the mystery and all of the foolishness associated with it is proportional to the complexity of the coffee they order. I work in a downtown setting and regularly go out for a cup of coffee. It's as much a chance to walk around the block as it is for the caffeine. I inevitably end up waiting in a slow-moving line because a Mysterian with purple hair has such a fancy coffee order that it takes 10 minutes to order and even longer to make. I haven't fully thought out what this means, but I'll leave that to you. Pushing back from Salt Lake City, Utah, Zach. I think there might be something there.
I think Zach is calling me the world's best conservative then, because I just like a black cup of coffee.
Me too.
There you go.
Regular size black coffee, please, and I'm paying cash. I'm not giving you one of those communist plastic cards.
Can I get a hot dog and a
I'm at Costco
soda?
on my rookie. I need a roller dog and a pop.
And that comes to $1.61.
And here's my debit credit thing.
That comes
card.
to $1.61, please. Thank you. Please pay. But you know what? At Costco, I don't think you can use cash.
Whatever.
You can't anymore. Yeah, you have to walk up to the kiosk, order on the screen, and put your card in. So you can't go pay cash.
Joe, should we run over to Costco?
No. Only because...
Get some beans?
Only because they come to us. All the way from the traveling Lymans who are currently in Fernandina, the Villages, Florida. Bert, by the way, frequent emailer Bert said he put a pink flamingo in his yard. Don't knock on the door yet.
Nothing yet, huh?
Nothing
No
yet.
Meemaws?
No.
yet.
No Meemaws walking up?
No. On this day.
I have a goose decoy in my yard.
Yeah. On this
That's
day.
a whole different thing, Kenny. That's a whole different thing.
Well, that's what I was hoping.
Hey, trying to do a show here.
Yeah. 17th is today.
In 1837.
Way back.
A long time
back.
ago.
Methodist missionary Alfred Brunson arrived at Fort Snelling. He established the first Methodist mission in Minnesota at Kaposia, now South St. Paul.
Kaposia.
And that's it for this day in history. And I figured
That's
out why.
Kaposia. You call it Kaposia.
Right.
Kaposia.
I figured out why. Everybody went to the lake.
Yeah.
See? It's like the Wild went to the lake early.
Let's go. Let's go to the lake right now.
Hockey players go to the lake. Your Western Conference Finals feature the two hockey hotbeds of Dallas and Las Vegas.
Ooh,
and
Dallas.
the Eastern Finals feature the two hockey hotbeds of Carolina and Florida. Our stiffs have been at the lake for 5 weeks.
Yep.
Ain't ever going to be a parade in the Twin Cities. No.
Not in your lifetime, brah.
Not in my lifetime.
Maybe
I'll
mine.
never see the cup.
Maybe
I'll
mine.
never see the cup.
But you did.
I have held the cup.
Yes.
I've
You wore a cup?
I forgot what you
worn
put
a
on the cup.
Huh?
Didn't you take a selfie on the cup?
I might have, but I ended up taking a picture
In
of the
private?
cup.
In private?
No,
What?
I did not.
You did not violate the cup,
I
did you?
Of course not.
You weirdo.
I held the cup
hell?
with Ryan McDonough.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And Ryan McDonough held the newest infant in the clan with the cup.
With the cup? I was thinking more to when the cup made a trip out to Maplewood to the studios.
I treasure the cup, and I'm afraid in my lifetime I'll never see the cup have a home in Minnesota. No. Florida
Next year.
and Carolina and
We got these. Mo.
Vegas.
Gross.
Next year.
Dallas already has a cup.
Was I saying about the
Carolina
Vikings,
already
Twins,
has
or-
a cup. Florida and Vegas do not have cups yet, but have been to the cup finals.
You can end it any time.
I'm over now. Goodbye. Thank you, GLers.
Love Sexy Highway. How about that?
Yeah.
There's others. There's others here.
Anything beats the Death Notice.
Do Me Baby Highway.
Hey, he never even went by that name, Prince Rogers Nelson.
How about the symbol? You should have just had the symbol.
The symbol.
Oh, that would have been key. And if you want to find a podcast about Prince, go to PodMN on your smartphone. I bet there's several where fans are dedicate their podcast to Prince and his music and his life. And then if you want to go to our YouTube page, Garage Logic has a YouTube page of which you can subscribe to. Super easy. Go to youtube.com, subscribe to Garage Logic. Then, finishing off your trifecta, go to GarageLogic.com, sign up for the Garage Logic Town Council, where you will be an insider by paying $10 a month, $100 a year, and you get a $10 Fratallone's Hardware and Garden Store gift card. It's just that simple, cha. You know what I'm saying? Did I have extra time? I yield the balance of my time, son.